I think we've got a bit of reprieve in the Western Cape because the census figures have shown that we've got over the last 10 years, we've grown in population size by 30%. So a lot of people coming here for investment opportunities, but also just for work opportunities. And that does give us, I suppose in real terms, it does give us some more money, although it's a lag. So that money that we're getting extra because of the census is helping us to maybe play a bit of catch up and maybe not hitting us as hard as many of the other provinces. I think Gauteng and the Western Cape coming out all right through that process. But understanding that global context, the pressure is on, and then I think in our budget, continuing focusing on education and health, and then looking at the economy. So it's infrastructure investment, creating the right environment to allow the economy to grow. So making sure the schools are being built, making sure roads are being put in place, making sure hospitals are being built, but then investing in job readiness, young people, our biggest gap, or getting young people with matric ready for work. So we're investing into that space, skills development, so that when the economy starts to swing, we're actually ready to take that up.
Let's touch on the 17% increase in spending on special projects. There are a number of projects listed here within the green economy. Let's first touch on the broadband sector. There's been a big project in broadband rollout. Can you give us an update on how that development's going?
Okay, obviously it's a long-term plan to put high-speed connectivity across the whole province. The initial focus is, from a government point of view, is making sure that we're connecting government. So it'll be government services, it'll be municipalities, health services, schools, and then rolling that out, also the wireless mesh network in Khayelitsha and Mitchell's Plain, and as well as looking at the IDZ space up in Saldanha Bay. So it is a long-term project, but you will see in the special projects ring-fenced money. We're spending money on this plan, getting it ready to go to market. It's a rollout across the province, but starting where we can in partnership with the city to start with.
We also see that the province has set aside 6 million for the development of the green economy. Tell us what potential you see within this sector. What are your thoughts on this?
The green economy is the next big sector, and we need to be ahead of the game. So that money is really planning money, getting that green economy aligned, understanding what we want to be and who we want to be in that position of Southern Africa's lowest carbon region, but also Southern Africa's green economy hub, and looking at creating those plans. So it's a small amount of money to start with, getting the plans in place, and that's the big driver now over the next couple of months. And then it creates the framework. And that framework, we'll be able to showcase some of our green spaces that we've already got in plan.
Another item listed on the special projects was about improving accountability of public officers and closing any loopholes that there might be in financial systems and any instances of corruption that there might be. Can you tell us what these loopholes might be and how this team is being beefed up to eliminate any instances of corruption?
One thing that really concerns me is you look at the AG's report, you look at just general newspapers, general press that comes out about South Africa and talks a lot about corruption. And we've got to be careful that doesn't become part of our brand. In this region, if SO12, which is our 12th strategic objective, the best run regional government in the world, it really links to how we do and how we go to business. So we need to make sure that we are understanding that brand problem or that risk, and making sure that we are spending our money optimally, that the red tape is reduced, but that we really are doing it properly. And it's 43 billion rand budget. We've got 14 departments. We've got to make sure from Treasury that we're monitoring and that we're managing that space properly. So this money is going into making sure that systems operate correctly, that we minimize the risk of corruption, and at the same time we don't add extra burdensome red tape. So it's trying to find that balance. And I think in South Africa at the moment, our red tape or our rules are sitting right up here because our value systems are pretty low. And it's trying to create that balance, bring up the values, but at the same time making sure the systems are in place to manage that process.
On that note on efficiency, you said in the year ahead in the budget, the program will conduct research into the national transfer system, which focuses on funding formula underpinning provincial and municipal budget allocations. Can you just elaborate on this or just explain what this means?
Okay, well, obviously as a region, 5% of our income comes from our own revenue base, so a very, very small amount of our money. As well as local authorities, they have a much bigger tax base, but most of their money also, or a huge proportion of their money also comes through national transfers because of our national taxation system. And this is in partnership with National Treasury, looking at mechanisms of making sure that we deliver on these conditional grants effectively and efficiently.
There were also other special projects listed happening in Witzenberg, George, Drakenstein and Nyanga. Can you tell us about these projects and what they're going to do for these communities?
Okay, that is looking at creating economic nodes. Now, there's a project that the City of Cape Town have been running for a while called the VPUU, Violence Prevention Urban Upgrade Program in Harare and Khayelitsha. It's been a lot of money invested over a while. It's really created a safe environment, created a corridor, and that corridor starting with a partnership with the people who live in the region, creating a safe environment, creating an invested infrastructure that allows the economy to grow, and it's really done very well. So using that as a pilot and as a model, how do we take that model and then replicate it? So we've made this money available. It's 75 million over the next 3 years, 15 million originally. It's really about planning initially, and then we'll start to crowd in infrastructure. And so we've said, let's have a look at densely populated areas across the province, and so we've identified these focus areas.
Minister, going forward, what do you believe is the biggest challenge in implementing this budget?
Well, of course, our big money gets spent primarily in education and health, but I think we've shown over time that we're able to spend our money. But it's really making sure the management systems are in place. So I think if you had to say to me our biggest challenge, it's making sure that creating the economic environment. And part of that is infrastructure spend, and you'll see over the next 3 years we're going from 3.5 billion rand to 5.5 billion rand, so we're really ramping up infrastructure spend. That's schools, that's hospitals and clinics, that's roads, and a big proportion of it is also maintenance. We've got a lot of parts of our province where we're reinvesting in new spaces, but what about those spaces, whether they be schools or clinics that have been neglected for a while? We need to get back in there. Because if you allow that infrastructure to really deteriorate, you also put yourselves into a very big cost position going forward, because to try and fix something once it's gone too far is really not easy. But also it's about dignity in communities. It's about going back in, reinvesting into a lot of our communities where that school is maybe not starting to get a little bit run down. Let's look at really focusing on reinvigorating some of that infrastructure.